taking that ride to nowhere. We'll take that ride. I'm feeling okay this morning, and you know, we're on the road to paradise. Here we go, here we go. There's a city in my mind, come along and take that ride, and it's alright, baby, it's alright. And it's very far away, but it's growing day by day, and it's alright, baby, it's alright. Would you like to come along, and you can help me sing this song, and it's alright, baby, it's alright. There's a city in my mind, come along and take that ride, and it's alright, baby, it's alright. And it's very far away, but it's growing day by day, it's alright, baby, it's alright. They could tell you what to do, but they'll make a fool of you, and it's alright, baby, it's alright.
Hello, everyone. I see some people already. This is exciting. I like it. Y'all are going to find out why I was nicknamed Savage Joy, if you do not know already. This week was pretty hellish. It sucked. The attacks have been insane, to say the least. They have been absolutely, it kind of like, I pretty much get, hate every single day, but like every, few months or so, it comes to the point where it's like everyone I loathe all jumps in, and like they say they hate each other, but they're like so much alike that I'm sure they're working together, or they're just huge hypocrites, both probably. But let's see who we got. Vegan, Kami, who else? Let me see. Jenna. I can't see everyone else. I'm sorry, but thank you all for tuning in. I can't see other people. I just recognize the Abbies. But yeah, so tonight, first I want to go, first, Andrew is doing my back end. He's going to be starting and stopping the debate where I ask him to, and showing the screenshots I want to show. So I want to start by showing a few screenshots from this week. What's this one? Can't see what that is. Okay, so this is the Red Berets, and they're just wonderful people, and they've attacked us since last August, and they're absolutely awful people, but everyone's like, kumbaya, and we all need to get along. Fuck that. The way they behave makes me even more against state by state. I was fine with them until their behavior became so absolutely repulsive. That's when I started looking into state by state and realized it sucks, and it's incrementalist, and Nancy Pelosi wants it. So anyway, they've been attacking the hell out of me. And this is one of their posts. Let's see. Can you put that one back up, Andrew? So what they're doing is they are trying to get signatures to get what they falsely call Medicare for All, which it's not, on the Washington state ballot. Now, in order to do that, they need like over 300,000 signatures. Right now, they have 13,000, and they're spending their days attacking me. y'all aren't productive. If you don't get it, oh fucking well, tough shit. That's on you. You'd rather fucking sit there all day and attack me and my comrades who are actually doing work without super PACs and actually busting our ass as volunteers. You'd rather do that than actually get off your ass and get some more signatures. If it fails, that's on you. So this is one of them bragging after they've been attacking me nonstop. And then they say, well, Joy's behaving this way. This is what we're doing. Let's just get this straight. You are not fighting for national. Let's get this straight, okay? Andrew, do you have the picture of the United States? It's a white United States with a red. This is, I'm going to show y'all what they think fighting for national is. They think it's going to DC and holding up signs that say hold Washington. That's fighting for national. Them. That's national. When you post 10 out of 10 times and it's about your state, you are not fighting for national. Let's get that right. No, it's just a picture. It's the USA and it's a red and white. Because I'm going to show you guys some of the things that they post, not even understanding the blatant irony of being like, we're fighting for everyone. Right. Okay. And, it bothers me even more that people fall into their cultist bullshit than that they push it themselves. So, look, check this out. Medicare for all, okay? And it's got the entire United States on it. And it names 4 states. But it says Medicare for all. And look at what these states say. They don't say Medicare for all. They say CalCare, New York Health Act, things like that. Why? They are not Medicare for all, for fuck's sake. Stop listening to them pushing and peddling blatant lies. I have kept my mouth shut for so fucking long, and this week I am done. I am fucking done with their attacks. Look at this bullshit. They list 4 places, and that's Medicare for all, and people are loving this and being like, kumbaya, yeah, let's FOF, fight on all fronts, #FOF. Okay, dude, this is fucking awesome. This is inspiring. I feel so happy that people in states I've never fucking been to are fighting for themselves. I feel so happy about that. And I'm sure every other disabled person and person with medical debt and everything like that, I hope they are I'm sure they're ecstatic. Thank you guys for being We Got Ours. Thank you so much. Andrew, if you want to show the next one. I'm having a drink because I'm fucking heated. I'm so sick of this bullshit. All right, what's this one? This is... Okay. So this is a dude I had a discussion with. I said I'll be debating him tonight. And I literally said, hoping for some, I don't know if I said positive discourse or some kind of discourse. I use the word discourse. And here he comes, playing semantics. He already sets it off. Just like, actually, listen, you pompous douche. You just set the tone. And the reason I'm showing this is because he starts the interview that way. So I wanted to show this. I tagged him. I said nothing wrong. I wasn't like, yo, he's stupid, he's an asshole, fuck the red beret. I literally said nothing. All I said was, I am debating him tonight, and I'm hoping for some positive discourse or something, some kind of discourse. And then he comes in with this semantics attitude. And so I respond, here's the fucking definition. It's not a debate me, bro, but it's a fucking debate. I'm national, you're state by state. We're talking about, I support this because, well, I support this because. That's a fucking debate. So right away, he's like setting the tone. I'm like, well, this is fucking great. And I thought, it was funny because neither him or Whole Washington or the Berets or any of them had posted about the show up until like an hour before it aired. I was promoting that shit. I was like, hell yeah, tune in. I've got a lot to say. And I'm like, this is interesting. Why aren't they promoting it? Well, a lot of people who watched it can tell why. Andrew, you could show the next one. What's this one? Oh, so, Jeff Campbell, everyone's favorite dish canoe, is going at me hard again behind a blog because he's amazing. And he's calling me a grifter, which is the most often used term with zero meaning. And anyone who says it is just so pathetic and so 2015. Like, get a fucking thesaurus. You're just stop. So I made this tweet. Dude literally worked for Andrew Gillum. Andrew Gillum is being federally indicted for being shady with money. This happened the same day. Campbell is going around calling me a fucking grifter and trying to hate on what me and my comrades are doing. Really? Look at yourself, dude. I hope he gets called to the stand. Oh my God, please let him get called to the stand. Because that fucker lies so damn much. And get him on perjury, His people are coming after me and calling me a dem op. A dem op. Me. I'm not even a dem. I fucking hate the Dems. I talk about the Dems 24/7 and how they're fucking garbage. I'm a Dem op. Sorry, guys. I admit it. All because I don't like Jeff, who continuously attacks me and my group. That me being offended that he's attacking us is wrong. And that makes me a Dem op. Yes, correct. That makes perfect sense. I should just ask him to hang out. Like, I see you attacking me. Do you want to hang out sometime? That makes more sense. You can show the next one, Andrew. Oh, and I didn't take a screenshot of this, but remember how he was like, I'm going to do a march and it's going to be bigger and better. And, it'll be happening shortly. And then he never did one. Well, then he came back and he's like, oh, but it's okay because I went and there was a town hall in my city. What the fuck does that have to do with anything? A town hall? Are you kidding me? Did you organize something? How does that compare to a march? What are you talking about? You went to a town hall. Okay. Anyway, so this is why they were trying to call me and for all grifters. This is why. because they do not think that Reverend Andy Chambers should have an ADA wheelchair ramp. That's grifting. They do not think we should have ADA ASL interpreters. If you're hearing impaired, tough shit, we're not grifters. They do not think we should do mutual aid, which they call us living it up in DC, even though we fucking paid for our own Airbnb, and there's like 12 of us staying in one fucking place, literally, so we can split it all different ways. But yeah, okay, actually, $700 for mutual aid. What that mutual aid is sandwiches, water, granola bars, fruit, and bag lunches that we're going to be giving to the houseless. That's mutual aid. But they didn't want to ask that. They would rather just trash and say we're using it for ourselves. They have no concept of the kind of money that goes into this shit. Porta pots. You want people to walk over a mile to the nearest bathroom in July when it's hot? You want them to leave our event, walk over a mile, or what? Fucking wear a diaper? That's what you want? You don't think it's necessary to rent porta pots and fucking hand washing stations? You don't think it's necessary to get sound equipment? What, you think people are gonna fucking hear from a megaphone? You don't think people's voices deserve to be heard? This is bare bones, you guys. This is fucking nothing. You know, one of our girls, Lauren, an amazing teammate. She reached out to so many places I cannot even count. And these are the cheapest possible prices. I mean, I'm talking dozens and dozens of places. And anyone who has ever organized something knows that this is on the conservative side. This is nothing. Like, we're not even including any of our travel, our stay, our transportation, all of our, flyers we're printing, t-shirts we're printing. Like, we're blowing up our charge cards for that shit. We're putting down bare bones, and you're gonna call us fucking grifters? That just shows you have no fucking idea what it's like to organize. You have no fucking clue. Andrew, you can show the next one. Here you go. Like, and you know, one of the girls, a girl in the comments, I've never heard of her, but I'm blocked. I tried to find her, and it's on my page if you want to see it. She said, I hope Joy knows that since she's on disability, she's going to have to, be careful how much she takes for this, because it can affect her benefits. Although this isn't legitimate anyway, or something like that. I was like, okay. Actually, I work in a filthy warehouse lifting 30-pound boxes for fucking $10 an hour part-time just to make ends meet with my disability. Don't be concerned about me, bitch. Seriously. Fucking audacity. How dare you? You have no fucking clue what I go through. You have no fucking clue how much medical debt I have and how I'm working my ass off to take care of this shit. And you're going to fucking say this? We are 100% volunteer. 100%. None of us take a penny. Not one penny. In fact, some people haven't even gotten reimbursed from last year yet, Because if we don't have donations, we don't have them. So it actually costs us money to do this shit. So don't you dare fucking have the audacity to sit there and imply and say that we are taking a penny. Fuck you. Get off your ass. Do something yourself instead of talking shit 24/7. Do something and not just go to a town hall. Andrew, you can put up the next one. Y'all, I'm fucking pissed. I haven't done a show like this in so fucking long, but I have kept my mouth shut for so fucking long, and I'm just so done. Okay, so here we are going to start watching this pathetic excuse. And Andrew will be stopping here and there for me to comment on basically what a clusterfuck it is.
I'm going to go to him and have him discuss that. Then I'm going to go to Savage Joy for updates about the March for Medicare for All in DC this summer. And then we're going to open up the floor here and have a discussion about what is the best way or the best path for healthcare, whether it's through the states or whether it's national. So, Andre, I'm going to go to you first. What's going on with Whole Washington and your ballot initiative access? I'm going to go ahead and add this to the stream.
Yeah, well, there's a lot going on. It's been a hell of a year. And I don't remember exactly the last time I came on the show, but a lot of the last media appearances we did, we had still not filed yet. So we were working on the legislation itself. And I'm really happy that we filed the best version of the Washington Health Trust that we've ever had. It's been improved in a number of ways. And we are now out there gathering signatures every day, every week, all across the state of Washington. And so if you go to wholewashington.org/sign, you can see a map, and that'll be places where you can go by and you can sign, or you can pick up a few sheets and collect signatures. And if you go to wholewashington.org/events, you will see that we are hitting up all of the best events in the state. We did Solstice last weekend. We're doing Pride next weekend. So it's just a great way to get out there into the community, talk to people about healthcare, see if they want to put it on the ballot. And a lot of them do. So it's great to be here on the show to get the word out. And I also wanted to announce a few exciting endorsements that we've gotten recently. So Physicians for Social Responsibility, Washington chapter has endorsed, and we also got the largest county in Washington State, King County Democrats. They have endorsed us, and that's the county that the Seattle metropolitan area is in. But I grew up in LD1, which is out in the suburbs, and I was really happy to get to speak back at my home LD, present Whole Washington, and they have now endorsed. So we continue to build our coalition and gather signatures out there, and we are just really happy to be bringing this issue to so many people.
Awesome. And how many signatures are you required to get for the ballot initiative?
So we're required to get about 325,000. The goal we've set for ourselves is 400,000, which adds about a 23% cushion for potentially invalid signatures, or people who maybe aren't registered to vote, or they're out of state but they signed anyway. So it includes a cushion for that.
Awesome. And how many signatures do you have so far?
So the last time that we did a count, we're at about 13,000.
Okay, great. All right, Joy, you're up next. March for Medicare for All this summer in DC. Let me go ahead and put your page up here. And then I know there's a screenshot you sent me as well announcing people. So take it away.
Yeah. Our march is July 30th, DC, and we're not announcing speakers yet. We've got some great ones, but we do have an announcement tonight that we are doing a fundraiser, and we have some pretty amazing people. That's what the meme or promo or whatever is for, if you want to share that.
Yeah, I'll go ahead and do that. And Eric, if you can do me a favor and put links to both of these in the chat for the Medicare for All March and for Whole Washington's page. I'm going to go ahead and share this here.
So this is coming up a week from Wednesday. We have, of course, Marianne Williamson, who is my dear friend and one of my biggest supporters, and who is such an ally. We have Jimmy Dore, my dear comrades Eve Six, John and Max. I can't see who that's. Oh, the Banks sisters, Elias. Can't see Jesse Jett and. Oh my God, that's awful. I can't.
Yeah.
Oh, Rob Durden.
Yeah, Marianne, Jimmy, Elias, Rob Durden, the Bank Sisters, Eve Six, and Jesse Jett. That's Eve Six, the band?
Yeah. They're my comrades. They're huge supporters.
Closing time, Eve Six.
Was that?
Closing time, Eve Six?
Oh. Are you joking?
Closing.
No, Heart in a Blender, Eve Six.
Oh, shoot. Wrong band. Wrong
Yes,
band.
Eve Six are
Sorry,
actually
boy.
good.
Oh, man. Don't tell him I said that. Is this the fundraiser that I'm coming to? I forget. I'm signed for a lot of things. Okay.
Yeah, so there's more people unfortunately are on this promo. You and JB something super exciting for us another day, and so I'll keep you guys posted. But actually, we've also added people since then too. I'll show the updated promo at the end. Basically, we just really need help with this fundraiser. We are 100% volunteer. You know, we were told even a wheelchair ramp, ADA accessible, is $2,000 to rent.
Yes.
Our ASL interpreters are over 1,000. Just the bare bones of what we need to make it, you know, accessible and everything. I mean, it's such an expense. So we really, really need people's help to help us pull this off. Also, it's not just July 30th. We are all going from all across the country on the Wednesday before. We have some civil disobedience, some direct action, some disruption. We're also doing a bag lunches mutual aid for the homeless people in the area. We have so much planned. Of course, I'm not giving details of the other things I just mentioned because, you know, Popo are going to be riding our asses as it is. But yeah, it's going to be a week of action.
Awesome. Let me go ahead and share this here. Yeah, so looking forward to all these things. So yeah, I'll be at the fundraiser event too. And yes, I'm familiar with the wheelchair ramps. I had to get one for an event one time, and it's thousands of dollars just to get a ramp. It's expensive.
They said, well, you could get one for 1,000, but it's not ADA. What, right. You want me to have her fall? Like, it's incredible, really.
All right. So let's get into the discussion about state versus national. Now, I know both of you obviously are pro, Medicare for all. You want everybody to have health care. What seems to be the disagreement? Because I've seen conversations kind of go back and forth on Twitter, and I figured it would just be better to have this discussion like in person or virtually per se. What seems to be the disagreement with state universal healthcare and Medicare for all, or the national way? And I'm opening it up to the floor to both of you.
So I would like to, start by saying that for many people, there is not a disagreement there. And I think that you can see that based on the framing of certain conversations around it, right? So while some people have framed this conversation as a debate on state versus national, you won't see me, you won't see a lot of people feel that it needs to be that way. So I think that, I just want to say a few things to, make sure that are clear at the beginning, which is that the first is that I'm really not here to debate that like state by state is better than federal, and that should certainly not be something that I'm asked to defend. And the other is just that, I think that when we're talking about something as big as healthcare, we're talking about millions of lives, right? And movements of thousands and greater. And so it really needs to be, strictly about the policy and the strategy. And so that's what I'm here to discuss. And mostly that there does not need to be a conflict between these two paths to getting people healthcare justice, universal healthcare across the United States.
You can
I
pause
actually
that
do not
there,
believe in
Andrew. Universal healthcare. That's actually so okay. So a few things. As you see, he started with the condescending, patronizing. It doesn't have to be a debate. Listen, you say you're for national. I don't fucking know. All you talk about is state by state. But here's the thing. It's a debate because I'm not for state by state at all. I'm hardcore national, unequivocally devout national. So this is a debate. Make no mistake. Might not be on your end, but it sure as fuck was on mine. Andrew, you can play. Really what people, Biden says universal health care, Obamacare is referred to as universal health care. I support national improved Medicare for all. It is a very different thing. And I think, the term universal health care just gets thrown around. And it's used for so many different things. It could be a public option. It could be anything. There's no set definition of that. So I think using that term is actually very misleading.
Even though he's
as
not
far as whole Washington, I know you guys promote Medicare for all state by state. However, Sabby, can you bring up that screenshot from, I believe his name is Matt.
From Mark. Yeah, just 1 second. Let me share here.
This is one of the most awkward things I have ever experienced in hundreds of interviews. So we have always contended that what you guys are pushing is not Medicare for all. No, that's not it.
Okay.
It's from Twitter.
Is it this one?
No, it's a tweet. It's some guy named Mark. Yeah, there it goes above.
This?
No, it's a tweet.
Oh, it's a tweet. Oh, hold on.
No, it's up higher. Okay, now go down. Go down. You guys, go down.
No.
This was literally our private chat. Okay.
I think it's further up.
No, it's not. I just sent it to you, actually. It was so
you just
awkward
sent it.
and uncomfortable.
Hold on.
Because people were like, Joy, I saw your entire chat. I'm
This
not
one?
a fan. No, it's a tweet. Like, it's literally a tweet.
Yeah, I don't
There it goes. There it goes. Just
okay.
past it. Oh my God. No. Below.
He's the highest paid employee in our federal government. And beginning in the spring of 2020, Dr. Fauci.
Oh.
Here it goes. Okay. So I can't read it. Sabby, can you read what that says?
So this says, no, they don't. Whole Washington is very aware that establishing the Whole Washington Healthcare Trust is not Medicare for all. They just keep working to elevate Medicare for all while doing their own work. Y'all are mad. They keep supporting your cause while you insult and attack them.
So I tagged Whole Washington and asked for a response to this. This person, I believe he's a signature captain. I'm not sure. He talks about getting signatures. He stated in bold, big letters, you guys are aware it is not Medicare for all. I tagged you guys and said, what was your response? Nobody responded. So would you like to respond to this? That one of your people literally said, we know it's not Medicare for all, but you guys do say it is all the time.
Okay, so I am here to have this conversation. And I would say that part of what I came out here in the framing of this conversation was that I'm not that interested in talking about individual people. Okay, so Mark is a volunteer for Whole Washington. Mark is a wonderful volunteer for Whole Washington, helped organize the march last summer. But Mark does not speak for the Whole Washington campaign as a whole. And no one person does that. But I mean, this sort of thing reminds me so much of, like, you know, is Bernie Sanders a Democrat or not? Is Bernie Sanders is a socialist?
This is actually
not
your organization, someone who is in your organization saying, you guys, he's not speaking for himself. He didn't say, I believe it's not Medicare for all. He said, you guys. So if you want to deflect, that's on you. But my question is valid.
I'm not deflecting. I think that you should not interrupt me. So I am, as I was saying, Mark has expressed that he does not use this while he signature gathers. Whole Washington has not said that we are not Medicare for all. But obviously, Whole Washington is not the same thing as Bernie Sanders' bill in the Senate or Pramila's bill in the House. And those two things are not the same as each other. And they're not the same as HR 676. Medicare for all is really part of a greater movement for healthcare justice. And Whole Washington, I think, absolutely can be considered statewide Medicare for all. But if it's something that you feel is important to distinguish, here's what Whole Washington is. Whole Washington is state single payer. It is universal single payer healthcare that covers dental, vision, hearing, reproductive health, mental health, gender affirming care. There is zero monthly premiums. There are zero deductibles. There are zero co-payments. This detaches employment from health insurance, ensuring that you keep it regardless of if you lose your job or you lose your home or you get a divorce or you are not a citizen. So we're talking about getting 500,000 people universal single payer healthcare. If I don't care if some people don't consider it Medicare for all, that is not what's important to me. It is state single payer, and it is universal in the sense that it gets everybody healthcare and does not require them to have supplemental private health insurance or out-of-pocket spending on top of it.
But you support, just to clarify for people watching, Andre, you still support
Okay, so first let's break it down. Bernie is not a Dem. How is that like one of your own people saying that y'all are aware it's not Medicare for all? That's like trying to conflate those two would be like Bernie's team saying, I know Bernie's not a Democrat. Like that is the most random, nonsensical I think it was used to stump me, and it worked because it made no fucking sense whatsoever. Then I want people to realize that he keeps saying throughout the interview it would help 500,000 people. Keep that in mind. Keep that number, 500,000 people. Okay, Andrew, you can play.
Medicare for all.
Oh, like absolutely. And so Whole Washington supports Medicare for all directly. We constantly lobby our federal legislators to co-sponsor Medicare for all. I personally was in a meeting with the staffers of Maria Cantwell and Patty Murray and asked them if they would take a pledge to take no money from pharma or private health insurance. We've sent people to both Medicare for all hearings this summer, If you saw that image of the light projected on the side of the building and it says Medicare for All on it, we paid for that action and made that image go viral. And we organized a march last year, helped finance it, March for Medicare for All, and we always take the opportunities we have to support actions in support of Medicare for All. So both in terms of state policy and state organizing, feeding into the organizing for Medicare for All in an indirect way, we also support it in many direct ways. And I wanted to bring to that to help illustrate that. That's actually part of why I started an organization called Medicare for All Everywhere, which is designed to connect organizing at state level to federal organizing and put their strategies together in a way that they'll be mutually beneficial to one another. Because I think that that's absolutely the way that we will get Medicare for All, is when we have people mobilized in every state and working together in a coalitional way.
Okay, so Terrence, just really quick here, Terrence Cudney, he's in the chat. He said, Bernie's Medicare for All bill is a single payer bill. Whole Washington's bill is a single payer bill.
There's a very big difference with that. Funding. And we'll get to that. But yeah, federal funding, states can't use federal funding. It's a very different thing. States actually have a budget. Federal does not. So whether, a state says it's the same thing does not mean it's going to be enacted into existence. And I have plenty of things I'd like to go over as far as funding.
So the other thing to keep in mind, though, is that states absolutely can spend federal money and do. A lot of healthcare spending comes from federal money. And that would absolutely be the case if Whole Washington's bill were to pass. A significant amount of the funding would come from federal money.
Which you need waivers for. No waivers exist. You would need to go through Congress to get them. So, to break it down, we hear all the time,
shaking his head no.
National's not going to work because we got to go through Congress.
Not for me.
If your bill passes, there are no such things as federal waivers to reallocate, say, Medicare state money to, federal money to state money. It does not exist.
Okay, so let me show something really quick before, and I'll pass it back to you, Joy. On their website, there is a page here that says how we pay for it. And it says, with Washington Health Trust, we stop paying deductibles, premiums, copays, medical bills, out-of-network charges, high prescription costs. And then it goes on to say a statewide nonprofit, publicly funded health trust will create the largest possible risk pool, create efficiencies, gaining negotiating power, reduce fraud and waste, cut administrative overhead for providers, and save money for everyone. And there's a chart here that explains how they would pay for it. Employers will contribute 10.5% of wages. Employees may contribute up to 2% of wages. Sole proprietors, 2% of earnings, and investors will contribute 8.5% of capital gains.
Okay, so, but back to my point, that is not enough. Back to my point, they are saying that they will be, if you scroll up to the top, it's vague. I don't know. I read it a few times. I'm not understanding it. Right here, this part, I gave you a screenshot. It gives no details. What does it cover? That doesn't tell me how. This gives no details either. So my point is that, and Andre, you did use the words eventually in your Jordan interview. It would eventually pay for it. So I do want to make sure that you guys are being honest. A federal waiver does not exist. It will need Congress, period. So what that means is, even if you guys get the signatures, you guys get on the ballot and it passes, it will not be enacted unless and until a bill is written in Congress, a bill is passed in Congress, and then a bill is passed in Washington state. And I see you shaking your head, and I've spoken with economists, with doctors, and with single payer activists for over 30 years. And there's tons.
We've talked to none of those, of course. So
what?
I said we've spoken to none of those, of course. I was saying it sarcastically, just to be clear.
Okay.
So I'm sorry, just for everyone to understand, why would they still have to go through Congress?
Because Congress does not. Okay, so they're talking about using, I mean, in theory, it makes sense. Okay, so we use state money, we pay for Medicare. You know what I mean? We pay for Medicaid. We use state money for these things for the people in our state, right? So in theory, it makes sense that, hey, if we don't need that shit, we'll just take that money and use it to help pay for what we're doing. That is not a possibility. It needs to pass what's called a federal waiver, which then would reallocate federal funds to state funds. There is no reallocating, let's just take money from this to help. No, you need it to go through Congress. It's not, and I have examples of states where ballot initiatives were passed and didn't happen because of things like this. So I can give those examples after, Andre, if you want to respond.
I'd love to, thank you. So few things. The first is you said that it's not enough. I recommend that anyone who thinks that it's not enough, go to our website, go to the information section at the top, and you can read the analysis from Dr. Friedman. There was also a study commissioned by the Washington State Healthcare Authority, both of which find that state single payer would save between on the lower end, $5 billion, and on the upper end, $13 billion a year. And remember, that's while covering everyone. That's while expanding what's covered by Medicare. And so that's the one thing to understand is that we pay into private health insurance, right? We pay into Medicare, Medicaid. We pay a ton for our healthcare. We pay twice as much as any other country. So we know that we can pay for it because we're already paying for it. This reduces the total cost of health spending in Washington. It's just saying that instead of that coming out of our pockets when we get defibrillated in the emergency room, that should come through the taxation system where it will be graduated, where it will be less for people who make less money, where it will be stable, and where it will be a lot less disruptive and not throw people into bankruptcy. Now, on the topic of the waivers, we have a transition plan, and our transition plan allows us to do this without the waivers. So the first thing is that we can totally pay for this without federal money. We can both cover everyone and pay for it without federal money. Obviously, we would like to have the federal money, but that's why we allow the bill to be passed without the waivers. We have a Universal Healthcare Commission in Washington State. It's a permanent institution that can go and acquire the waivers. And the idea that these waivers don't exist, it's a Medicare waiver and it's an ERISA waiver, okay? The framework for these exists. The Affordable Care Act did not exclude single-payer healthcare. It left states the ability to create a single-payer system, and we effectively are just walking that path. But the important thing is to not hold up our ability to get people healthcare and to enact single-payer healthcare in Washington on federal processes if we don't have to. We can pass it. We can begin to cover people. Everyone in Washington State will be eligible for this system on day one, okay?
Andrew, can you pause it?
And if we can start to give that.
Okay, so again, I bring you back to the fact that he keeps saying it would help 500,000 people, and then he keeps also saying it would help every single person in Washington on day one. They have 7.5 million people. Which one is it? And I've asked for clarification on Twitter, tagging him time and time and time again. So that's the first thing. Second of all, when I'm telling you you can't pay for it, we want to be able to go to the emergency room and not get a bill. What exactly does that have to do with me saying you cannot fund what you're pushing? These are the things that fucking infuriate me. The thing is, if you come out there and you say, look, we just want better healthcare, cool. But the second you start throwing around it's Medicare for all, and the second you start leaving out it's gonna have to go through Congress anyway, and the second you start giving false arguments and tropes to convince people to sign on, that's where my problem is. Right there. Andrew, you could start it.
Healthcare to people, then we can acquire the waivers and make the funding, get the federal money for it. But we don't have to wait for a federal government that has all sorts of ways to derail legislation. I mean, legislation does not just get derailed when it's a ballot initiative or when it's going through a legislature, state or federal, okay? We've seen how the federal $15 minimum wage was taken down by a parliamentarian. Everything that we talk about, from voting rights to a Green New Deal, apparently can't happen because of the filibuster. We constantly have to hear what Joe Manchin's opinion is. With the ballot initiative, we are talking about a process where the governor cannot veto it. The legislature cannot keep it off the ballot. In a sense, it is forcing a vote on single-payer healthcare. And we want to do this in a way where there are no filibusters, no parliamentarians, no vetoes.
So I'd actually like to respond to that in the respect that you said a governor can't, repeal it and what have you. I actually have an example from 2 years ago. So in Missouri,
that's not Washington State. The governor can't veto it in Washington State.
Okay, we're talking state by state. So I'm talking Missouri because you have a 50-state strategy, correct?
50 states and the United States, yes.
Okay. And in Missouri, that's what happened. A ballot initiative passed in 2020 for expanded Medicaid. Then what happened was, let me find my notes and see if I could read them. Then what happened was, when it passed, it won like 53 to 46%. So it passed by a bit, and people were in favor of it. Then when it passed, the governor and his cabinet decided to say, no, we don't want to enact it. And they literally just didn't. No ramifications for the governor whatsoever. So the people took it to Cole County Court, which was their one particular county. It failed. They held up the governor's decision. That was 2021. Then they had to go to the state Supreme Court, in which it was finally overturned. Now, they went 2 years without getting that Medicaid expansion that was passed on that initiative, on that ballot state initiative. And again, no ramifications for the governor and his administration for not doing that. So when we're talking state by state, we're not talking just Washington. And that's an example of how it can happen. Now, in Washington State, in 2012, there was an instance when Medicaid expansion stopped covering dental. And it was for just budget cuts. All of a sudden, no dental. 560,000 eligible Medicaid patients, if you will. 560,000 eligible people immediately lost their dental care budget. That will never, ever, ever happen on a national plan. There's no budget. It doesn't matter. You could say, oh, we're giving, the MIC 10 more bajillions of dollars, and it doesn't matter. States, if they do not want something to happen, they will cut it. So what guarantee do you guys have? I know you're saying you can fund it without the waivers, and I'm very skeptical of that, but if you can, good for you. But what guarantee do you have then that other services are not going to be cut, which we see every single year in every single state? We see mothers get their discount childcare cut. We see school lunches cut. We see Meals on Wheels cut. We see housing cut. We see all these things cut every single year in every state. And what is your guarantee that these poor and lower class people are not going to suffer more?
So first thing, I just want to reiterate that I am not saying that state by state is superior to federal or that statewide is superior to federal. So on your point, obviously I can concede that we need national improved Medicare for all because it is more fiscally stable, it's more economically stable, and it would get a lot more people health care. Okay, that's not what I came here to argue. I'm on Medicaid in Washington, okay? I know the limitations of it, but that also proves a very important point here, right? Is that if Washington state was not a Medicaid expansion state, I wouldn't have healthcare right now. I wouldn't be able to be a full-time healthcare activist with healthcare coverage if we hadn't expanded Medicaid. And even though we recognize that, like,
not all schools have
state
Medicaid
budgets are challenging,
expansion.
right? At the same time, it's currently getting me healthcare. And the idea that, well, Medicaid is imperfect. Medicaid is often underfunded. We should actually be grateful. It would be better if we didn't have Medicaid. And then maybe we could all focus on national Medicare for all, I think is a really bad way of looking at it. I think it is not good strategy. I think healthcare makes us stronger. And I think that if we can pass it here in Washington, we will be stronger for it. We will have a stronger labor movement. We will have stronger workers who can go on strike, leave their job. We will give women the ability to leave their partners if that's something they need to do without worrying about losing their health care. And the idea that, well, sometimes that might be difficult to fund. You know what? It is difficult to fund. But also, we have about 16 billionaires in Washington state. They are worth about $300 billion between all of them. Our plan does not cost more than $66 billion. Okay, this is easy to fund. Gates and Bezos, each of them could fund that and still have tens and tens of billions of dollars. So the idea that we don't have the money to provide this kind of healthcare for the people of Washington, I think, is an underestimation of the people of Washington. I think that we can decide that this is something we want to do, and we can change and make it the way that healthcare is in our state. And I think that that would set a very strong example for the rest of the country.
So I want to mention something to people listening that may have questions about ballot initiatives. So I did a ballot initiative panel on this show, I think it was a couple of months ago, and we mentioned the pros and cons with ballot initiatives. It's important that you know both, right? So the way it kind of works is there are certain states, there's only a number of them, I think like 24 maybe, I forget, I have to go back to that panel episode, but there are certain states in the US that have what are called ballot initiatives, meaning that the people like you and me, if we collect enough signatures, we can put policies on the ballot and the people get to vote on it. So I'll give you an example. Legalizing marijuana, that was a ballot initiative here in Massachusetts. It passed. Ranked choice voting, that was a ballot initiative here in Massachusetts that did not pass. But that's what we're talking about when we talk about ballot initiatives. Now, here's the catch about it. It varies state by state. It's a little bit easier to get a ballot initiative on the actual ballot in like my state, like Massachusetts, than it is like some other states. There was a recent example of what happened in South Dakota in reference to expanding Medicaid. So that was coming up for the ballot this November was a ballot initiative to expand Medicaid in South Dakota. So what the leadership, the political leadership in charge decided to do was to implement a measure that would make it more difficult for ballot initiatives to pass in South Dakota because they did not want to expand Medicaid. So that was actually on the ballot for June. It failed. Thankfully, the people voted against it. So that Medicaid expansion policy will be on the ballot this November, and most likely it's probably going to pass. But there's pros and cons that go along with ballot initiatives. Now, that being said, I think the big question here is, should states like Andre's that are able to do ballot initiatives, should they be able to do that and alongside at the same time have the rest of us or all of us fight for Medicare for all as well? And I want to open that question up to both of you.
I'd like to actually respond to what he said first, what Andre said. So as far as, you stated on Jordan's interview and kind of loosely here that Bezos and what was his name? Gates live in Washington State. However, Bezos actually moved to Texas some time ago. And we know that billionaires, when any of their capital is threatened, they're going to pick up and move. So to one of their million other houses. So, the fact that you are counting on that to get some of the revenue is concerning. So that's just one thing. As far as, ballot initiatives, yes, 24 states do not have them, mine included in Pennsylvania. Also, Puerto Rico and DC are not states. All the territories do not have them as well. So there's certainly a misconception as far as, well, we could just do it state by state. It does not work that way. All states have different representatives, different constituencies, different ballot access. So that is something that is a constant, misconception. You bring up cannabis, and that's one of the biggest things we always hear. We'll legalize it state by state, just like cannabis. Cool. Cannabis has been, people have been fighting to legalize cannabis for over 100 years. The first state legalized in California, and that was in 1995. So here we are 27 years later, and 18 states are legal. We don't have time for that shit. Furthermore, cannabis brings revenue to states. Healthcare costs revenue. So that angle needs to be just dropped. It doesn't help. It actually hurts. People trying to sell the state by state. As far as should people do both? Look, I'm going to be honest right now. I have never, ever said, don't vote for that. Don't sign that. Never. Not once. And I don't know anyone on my team who has either. The things I say is, it's not Medicare for all. Be transparent and, things like that. And fight for national, as a priority. That's an issue to me. When 10 out of 10 posts are Washington, 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 Washington. No, you are not making national a priority. I heard you talk about people going to DC. They were holding whole Washington signs. This is not a priority, and it's your lives. You guys do what you want. Well, what my point is that there are no asterisks. All means all. Healthcare is a human right means every single human has a right. Every human. Not just this part. So, if Washington State has 7.5 million people, and the United States has 329.5 million people, so you're fighting for 2.2% of people. That is incrementalism. That is breadcrumbs. That in no way helps people of color, women, the disabled. That is inequality. It's inequity. And that is the problem. People like myself in the disabled community who are never represented by Whole Washington. I find it really upsetting that, it's very exclusionary. Your state is 4% Black, $77,000 median income. That's not all states. It's not. And it's very privileged, quite frankly, to focus on that instead of all. Now, if you guys want to do Washington. But the fact that you focus on it is what bothers me.
So okay, just can I do this really quick, Andre? These two chats here. Thanks for the super chat, Ricky. What happens when a nation's sick/disabled people move to one state? What happens if all the wealthy change their primary address? Thank you for that super chat, and that actually leads into this one as well. Lauren, thanks for the super chat. Those billionaires can change their primary residence as soon as this passes. You can't count on that for funding. Thoughts?
Yes. So a few things. I think like saying, I think that people should vote for this and it's good, but also it's incredibly privileged. It's racial inequality.
I don't tell people to vote for it. I just say I just don't tell them not to vote for it.
So I want to just reiterate again that I am not advocating for state by state, and I am not advocating for state over federal. And then I guess to answer those questions, I think that it is incorrect analysis that we are in a hostage situation with our billionaires. Okay. I think that it is very convenient to billionaires for folks to think that we need them for jobs, we need them for money, and if we didn't have them, we would just be screwed, and they're gonna pack up and leave, and we're gonna miss them. I think that if the billionaires in this state were to have left, we might have a better tax code. I think that we might have better labor laws. There's a lot of ways in which these things are complicated. They're also not just here
to do. Nothing to do
like
with
a coincidence.
It.
Okay,
Nothing.
We have a very strong tech sector here. We have very strong education here. There's a lot of reasons why people want to be here. We are
You're talking about using them for payment, and now
they
you're
would
saying
not be able to
better
build
off if they left.
their businesses and their wealth without us, and that is why they are here. And we are just going to cut a better deal with them. But again, I am not here to argue that state is better than federal. And I don't believe that, I do believe that healthcare is a human right of all people, right? And so my question is, why shouldn't I fight for that for my friends and my neighbors and myself and my state as well as my country? And yes, there's a border around Washington state. There's also a border around the United States. Medicare for all, it would be like saying, hey, how privileged is it for us to talk about Medicare for all, getting coverage for Americans when there are people in Africa, right, and South America and Southeast Asia who have it so much worse than us. We can't talk about incrementalism passing healthcare for the United States. We need healthcare for all because all means all. It's a human right. And, when we're talking about Medicare for all, how are we going to pass that? That is a question I would really like to hear answered. How are we going to get it? Because, Patty Murray and Maria Cantwell have not co-sponsored Medicare for all, and we are fighting to get them to co-sponsor it. And I think it would be great progress if we could get Patty Murray and Maria Cantwell to co-sponsor Medicare for all. But that would get exactly 0 people healthcare. Okay, so whether we're talking about a march or a strike or a die-in, by the way, I did a die-in last summer, right? Whether we're talking about any of these actions that get 0 people healthcare, they are incremental steps at best towards Medicare for all. On the other hand, Whole Washington is an incremental step towards Medicare for all that gets 500,000 people healthcare, that establishes single-payer healthcare in the United States and will demonstrate its superiority. I just like to, we've talked about how legislation has failed at the ballot, how it
superiority.
fails in legislatures. Medicare for All brought down the likes of Harry Truman, Bernie Sanders. This is a long fight that has we have lost all of this time. We have lost this fight, but we need to keep moving forward.
Literally,
And
just that his state has superiority.
and it's just imperative that we recognize the work that's come before and we take the steps that we can towards establishing it in the United States. And that's the thing I was trying to remember for a second there. I mean, people need to remember that the Affordable Care Act came from Massachusetts, right?
Yep.
And when there's federal reform, the states have great influence over that. And, you know, it's often the observation of the right that the states are very important. Like the left gives up on the states all the time, right? But there's a famous quote by Milton Friedman, which is that in a time of a crisis, which we are in a crisis, but in times of crisis, the ideas that prevail come from the ideas that are lying around. I'm paraphrasing, right? But basically that when there's a time for change, crisis often creates an opportunity for change. But when things change, it comes from the ideas that are lying around. We are trying to put single-payer healthcare on the table so that it is an idea that can be picked up and taken. We recognize the incredible influence that the states have had on federal policy and on the lives of millions of people. And so does the private health insurance industry, so does the pharmaceutical industry, so does the Republican Party, which is why they never leave the states behind. They fight so hard for every race in state legislatures. They derail legislation at state level. And often the reason that we're told state single payer will not work is because the medical industrial complex will come at it so hard and spend so many billions of dollars. And yet we're also told in many cases that state single payer hurts federal single payer. And so if we can agree that state single payer campaigns do not hurt federal single payer, then I think we have nothing to disagree about. But if that is not.
Okay, so did anyone else notice that I said whole Washington never represents any disabled people? And he didn't flinch. He didn't respond. No head shake. No nothing. No, we'll do a better job. They never talk to disabled people. Never. I have never fucking seen them talk to a disabled person. Not once. And when I brought it up, one of those berets had the audacity to say to me, well, a lot of disabled people don't want to go on camera. Yeah, some don't. But guess what? There's 7.5 million fucking people in your state, and you are telling me you cannot find a single disabled person. Not one. Not one disabled person who supports you, who would talk to your audience. You cannot find one. Look, you're not trying to find any. You're not reaching out to organizations. You're not talking to disability advocates. Admit it. You're not. You're also not talking to anybody with healthcare stories who are in Washington State. Talking to someone in New York about their story while saying we need this in Washington State. How does that make sense? Talk to people in your own state. But you can't find people because you're not even fucking trying. So the fact that I bring up you do nothing for disabled people and he doesn't even blink, that's fucking offensive. I mean, look at our org. We do panels with disabled people, medical debt, people who, people who work in healthcare. We talk to everyone. We had 3 days of fucking panels. Over 20 hours of panels. and you know, you look at these people and it's the same fucking people on screen all the time with their fucking hats on, and they just say the same shit over and over, and it's not inclusive. And that should piss people off. It's not okay. And then this is where the gaslighting starts. It's privilege because I'm not talking about people in other countries. Well, first of all, I do talk about people in other countries, but that wouldn't be Medicare for all. Second of all, in case you haven't learned, United States is the only industrialized country in the world who doesn't have Medicare for all, right? We've heard that a million times, right? So yeah, I am talking about the United States. And yeah, I am saying focusing on yourself 24/7 is a privilege. It fucking is. And you know what? When I fight for shit, I would never, I don't care if it's healthcare, I don't give a fuck what it is. I would never be okay with just thinking, I am doing this for Pennsylvania. My mind doesn't fucking work that way. How is that okay? How is that okay to be focused only where you live and be like making excuses for that? That's privilege. I don't care if you don't like that word. If I did it for Pennsylvania, it would be privilege. Focusing on yourself is privilege. It's not that fucking hard to understand. They just don't want to admit it. It's that simple. Andrew, you can
press something we agree about, then I want to know why the enemies of Medicare for all, like the pharmaceutical industry, would go so hard against state campaigns when they have the opportunity to pass.
Well, a few things, but I personally have never said they would. Do I think, if it gets on the ballot, absolutely. Locally, your local Aetna's, Blue Cross, whatever, you're going to see commercials. This is just reality. As far as that goes, you guys also are connected to a super PAC to take on those fights that you say are not going to happen. So I'm kind of confused which it is.
So Whole Washington is not associated with any super
You're
PACs.
Connected.
Okay, so can you describe it?
Connected as in the two people on your board of Whole Washington are on the board of a super PAC. So,
first of all, you're referring to the American Health Security Project. The American Health Security Project is not a super PAC. It is a website. It has some shared founders, but there is no association between Whole Washington and the American Health Security Project. We are not partners. We are not campaigning together. And you should have them on if you want to have that conversation.
Now, Washington. Dr. Joe Jarvis said it's a super PAC, actually, and sabby, when the last time they came on your show, they said they're trying to make it a super PAC, correct?
Yeah. I will add here. I will add here that some of them did go on to RBN, and CJ was interviewing them. I wasn't on for that episode. But that question did come up, and Dr. Joe Jarvis was on that panel, and he did say it is a super PAC. That's actually where that came from.
No, but to clarify, they are not formally incorporated, right? So the point I'm making is not that they
wasn't a super PAC,
are or are not a super PAC or will not be a super PAC. My point is that right now they are not an official group of anything. They don't have a bank account. They have a website. They have a Twitter account. They have some people. They are not, they're not formally incorporated as a 501c3 or C4 or super PAC. And so my point is that until they do something, we need to see what they will do, right? We need to see what kind of org they're going to be. But Whole Washington is not partnered with this org. And until there is a partnership between them, I don't see why I should be asked to answer why Whole Washington is involved with the super PAC when it's not a super PAC yet. It doesn't exist, and we're not associated.
Sabby, can you actually pull up the one meme type thing I made about the 401, 501c4?
Sure. Let me go to my screen here. Like that.
So something I have asked so many times, along with other people, that has never gotten a response ever, is why Whole Washington had their 501c4 reneged for not providing any donations for 3 years.
I'm not sure what you're looking at there, but what I'll say is we just added a financial transparency section to our website. So if you go to wholewashington.org, you can go and see our PDC listings, which includes our contributions and our expenditures, and you're welcome to look at them there.
Going back how far?
I don't know. I haven't looked at it recently.
Okay, because this goes back to 2018, I believe. It is a federal website. So the fact that it states that you guys had your nonprofit revoked because of not being monetarily transparent is very concerning. And I think that people who have donated deserve clarification.
Yeah, well, I will just say that if there's anything there that I need to know about, then we will work on it, and we will be sure to file whatever papers or disclosures need to be done. But Whole Washington is not a super PAC. We are not associated with the American Health Security Project, and you can see our expenditures on our PDC listings on the website.
I think the problem is the message that came across on that RBN panel was not what you're saying.
Okay, so we'll certainly file paperwork or... Dude, I literally just fucking called you out and said this is from a federal website. Did he try to say, oh no, that's real, you made that up, it's fake? No! He wasn't surprised. Like, he either knew it existed or wasn't shocked. I mean, dude, you fucking lost your nonprofit. You didn't show a single donation for 3 years. Do you know how fucking shady that is? And if someone showed something like that, for me, I'd be like, oh, hell no, I didn't even know about this. I'm looking into this shit. But I've brought this up so many times and nobody has fucking answered me. And I finally got to fucking say it. And it was kind of beautiful. That moment was kind of my piece de resistance of the night. I finally got to bring it up. It felt good. Okay, Andrew.
Saying right now, Andre, and I don't know if I can't remember if you were on that panel or not, but the message that was delivered on that panel was that there was no other option, and that's why they were going in that direction. And I remember watching that episode because the chat was very much against that, and that's why CJ was trying to address that question. So I don't know, like, I'm not there, I'm not involved. Maybe there's miscommunication, I don't know, but I just wanted to make you aware that that's where that's coming.
That's an opinion of the American Health Security Project, right? And they need to, if that's what they believe, and that's a case they need to make, and they need to see if that's the sort of thing that people will organize behind. And let me put it this way. If like in a year or two, we're talking about how they got us Medicare for all, I'll say that they were right. But the point is, right now, that's something that they're figuring out in the case that they're making. But it's a different.
It says words like Washington. Medically necessary.
Okay, thank you for the super chat, Colin. I do want to address this really quick. Gay marriage was legal in certain states until it was legal federally. The LGBTQ community didn't stop push for federal, even when states legalized gay marriage. Both can happen at the same time. I totally hear you, Colin, but one thing I do want to add is that gay marriage was made legal by the Supreme Court. I think that's the added difference I want to just add in there.
And it doesn't cost money. That's always the underlying factor.
It saves money. It saves money is the reality of it, that we will all be wealthier for this legislation.
No. I don't mean it would cost us money if you guys passed. I'm saying like one of the selling points to people who don't even agree with gay marriage was the fact that it wouldn't cost anything. You know, because that's how they're
but are you saying it should cost? Are you saying it should cost me money and it should cost my family money? Or are you saying it should cost the state money? Right? Like one of us has to pay for this.
For gay marriage?
No, for healthcare.
I'm talking about gay marriage.
I know, but you're comparing. It was in comparison to healthcare, though.
I'm so confused. That makes no sense to me. Someone
Thanks for the super chat, VA from NY. Pelosi told them to stop.
Okay, so here's the thing. That part I think pissed me off more than any other point in the fucking hour. That pissed me off so hard. It was like gaslighting me to act like I wasn't an ally or something. And after I read the comments afterwards, 2 other people had said the same thing. You can't compare it. One doesn't cost money. That's the only thing I was saying. Fuck yes, gay marriage. Fuck yes. Hell yes. That has nothing to do with what I'm talking about. I'm talking about passing something that doesn't cost a cent is very different from passing something that costs billions of dollars. That was my point. And he was like, I didn't even fucking know what to say. I was so confused. So congrats, Andre. That worked. That definitely worked because I was fucking confused as hell. So props to you for that one.
Pushing for Medicare for all, but to only fight for state single payer. Thank you for that super chat as well. And thank you for this, Lauren. More Americans support Medicare for all now than ever. We have the support now. What is missing is our will to fight together. Staying divided and focusing on one state at a time is getting played. Thank you so much for the super chat.
Can you pull up my Pelosi? And you're going to have to read the quote because I can't see it.
And I also would knew this would come up, so I know what I'm going to say.
Pelosi.
After saving with customized car insurance from Liberty Mutual, I customized everything, like Marco's backpack.
Seriously? OMG. YouTube, you drive me bananas.
Okay, so this is a quote. So I say to people, if you want that, do it in your states. States are laboratories. It can work out. It is the least expensive, least administrative way to go about this, but the comfort level with a broader base of the American people is not there yet. It does not mean it could not be. States are a good place to start.
So the point that I always make with this quote when it comes up is that depending on who you're talking to in the legislature, you'll basically get 2 reasons why they don't want to support single payer. If you're talking to a state legislator, they will say, we think that that is something the federal government should do. And if you're talking to a federal legislature, they will say, oh, leave that to the states. Okay. Everyone wants to push around who's responsible for this, which is why a unified strategy that says, I don't care what legislature you sit in, as one of the governments that I am a member of, that represents me, that, as a government that I am represented by, I expect you to provide me to ensure that me and everyone else can have healthcare. That's what it means for it to be a right. So it's a right no matter what level of government we're talking about, which is why we need to push our state legislators to push for it at the state level, and our federal legislators to push for it federally. But we also need to push them to support it across that because a few reasons. One is that they are still incredibly influential. If you're a federal legislator, you have incredible influence over state, the the way that state legislatures feel about it and the way that they consider these things. It shows the federal support. But then the other thing is that state legislators are future federal legislators. And part of the way we're going to get a legislature that will pass this federally is by starting them at the beginning of their careers and making sure that they are solid healthcare candidates, solid healthcare legislators, all the way up to when they become federal legislators or even a president, whatever it is. But we need to make sure that at every point of somebody's political career, that it's made very clear to them that it is expected that they will take responsibility for the healthcare of the people they represent.
So, as far as Pelosi, I just want to let people know why he said this quote, and she said a couple other ones. It was because after Bernard ran the first time in 2016, we saw thousands of Bernie-crats running. Thousands, all on his platform. It was freaking beautiful. And because of that, Pelosi was shitting her pants like, oh my God, these people really want this national plan. And she stated, this isn't an article of someone who was in the meeting, she stated, I'm going to push state by state to tell people that's a better way to do it, because she didn't want the focus and pressure to be on presidential candidates. It's true. Like, that is why she started saying things like that. So I guess I'm just kind of like, I don't know why people would support something Pelosi supports. It's kind of doing what she wants you to do, to be quite honest.
If Pelosi actually wanted this, she could have expended an ounce of effort on CalCare. And you might have also heard in my interview with Jordan, and I'd be interested to get more information on what he was talking about, but that she played more of an obstructing role on CalCare again. So just because a politician says something does not mean that that is actually what they want. And that's part of what the idea of Force the Vote was are these co-sponsors of Medicare for All actually going to come through and vote for it if we demand that of it, and if we exercise our political power to require them to do that. And that's why Ash Kalra wanted to pull CalCare instead of having it voted on in the floor, because he was protecting, I'm not on the ground in California. And by the way, that's another thing that I think is important here, is that the situation on the ground is something that I think should be left to organizers on the ground. So I have heard from the California Nurses Association that they think that Ash Kalra was protecting his colleagues from voting against CalCare because he knew that it would make them look bad and hurt them electorally. But out here in Washington, we have our own political situation that I think is best left to organizers in Washington. And, we do not just organize strictly, like, the ways that this connects to other issues is so important, right? So we have other ballot initiatives in Washington, like How's Our Neighbors, which is turning in their signatures today. It's for social housing. It has incredible momentum behind it. The communities around it are incredible. And we've collected hundreds of signatures out there while collecting signatures for whole Washington. And they've collected signatures for us. So this gives us the opportunity to build organization and become politically powerful in our communities, and then use that political power to get the policies that we want. And I think that that's how we're going to get there.
Okay. I'm looking at the time here. I do want to go ahead and try to wrap up, and I do want to finish with this question. So is it possible to do both? And I look at something like the Fight for 15, right? Like, that's something that we did want to happen nationally. Obviously, there were like 8 Democrats in Congress, or excuse me, in the Senate, actually, that voted against it. So that, the own party that was kind of like pushing for it, you had people in the Democratic Party basically say, no, we're not going to do that. So it's not just Kirsten Sinema, it's not just Joe Manchin. There were 8 of them that voted against the Fight for 15. At the same time, over the past couple of years, there have been states in the United States that have already passed that. For example, my state, Massachusetts, we passed that years ago. So we're almost at that $15 mark. So the question that I have to both of you, and I want to end with this, is it possible to fight for both at the same time?
Andre?
You know my answer. It's absolutely. I know it's possible to fight for both at the same time. I do it. I have led marches of hundreds of people through Washington State for Medicare for All. I've met people all over the country. I've traveled to Maine and gathered signatures to get people in Maine to get healthcare on the ballot for them. I have created my own national org to build that 50-state coalition, Medicare for All everywhere. So absolutely 100%. You know, when I was a Bernie delegate, I was part of that bloc that voted no on the platform because it didn't include Medicare for All. And I sit on the DSA Medicare for All steering committee because I believe in showing up for really wherever there is the call, wherever I feel that I can make a positive contribution to the healthcare justice movement. I like to show up and do that. And sometimes that's for Medicare for All, and sometimes it's for whole Washington. And it's always for both, actually. So that's the way I see it. And I invite everyone who wants to be involved in the campaign to go to wholewashington.org. Again, wholewashington.org/sign if you want to figure out how to sign, wholewashington.org/volunteer. If you want to get involved as a volunteer, you can donate. And, you know, I say this all the time, but we really want to create a universal campaign for universal healthcare, which means that you don't have to be from Washington. You can come gather signatures with us anyway. If you are a non-citizen or something like that, you might not be able to vote for, say, your federal legislators, but you can still help get something on the ballot, and you can get a healthcare system on the ballot that's going to cover you. So it gives people that way to be involved where they're often not able to be involved. And I really think that anyone, no matter where you are, even if you're all the way on the other side of the globe, there is a way for you to get involved in the campaign. And I invite you to be a part of it. And I think that we all need to be a part of a global healthcare justice movement. And that is the way that I try to live every day.
Joy?
Can people do both? Yeah, I mean, I fight for national Medicare for all and housing and tons of mutual aid. And I mean, of course, we're not one issue people type thing. My concern is in transparency. My concern is in, you know, explaining pros and cons of things. My concern is not misleading people. So I think as long as there is a clear line of this is how it would work this way, this is how it would work this way, this part is not Medicare for all, this part is Medicare for all, but that's what we're striving for, things like that, that I can understand more, put it that way. But I do just want to say, you know, as a disabled person with, you know, tons of medical debt, it makes me feel a lot better when I see people nationally fighting, because my disabled comrades, my broke comrades, my friend who uses me as a therapist because he has no insurance in Texas, this isn't helping them. So I genuinely want to know, like, why should I support what you're doing as a disabled woman in Pennsylvania who has friends, so many friends, and so many people in the disabled community hurting now? Why should we support Washington?
Do you want me to answer that, or?
Yeah, no, absolutely.
Well, I mean, the same reason why I should support you getting healthcare in Pennsylvania, or people getting healthcare on the ballot in Maine. It's because we're all in this together, and we all want each other as members of our community to have healthcare, right? Our national, local, global community. We want us all to have healthcare. So I hope that anyone who wants people across the country, whether they're in Washington or not, but I hope that we support opportunities people have to get healthcare, right? And we have an opportunity to get healthcare on the ballot for Washington State, and it absolutely will play a if we can do it, and I know that we can, it will play a huge role in the federal movement for healthcare justice. I know it.
I do want to say, I really hope that if this fails in Washington again, that you guys do change paths and go full national, because we're seeing failures over and over in other states. We just saw New York a week ago. So I hope that
so will you invest 100% in state organizing if it fails federally?
I don't see it failing federally.
We don't have it. We don't have it.
That makes no sense. Yes, I'm going to do 50 states. I am that powerful. I am going to do all these states.
My point is that we have seen so many people fight for healthcare and fall short of Medicare for all. Okay, and we can't throw their work under the bus. We can't say, you know what, your campaign failed, so you shouldn't have tried. You shouldn't try again.
Never said that.
Bernie Sanders ran for president twice, and he's the reason we have a real healthcare movement right now. And we will.
And he's not talking about state by state, is he?
Our success, the day it comes, will be built off of many, many attempts that came before it.
Okay. I mean, I guess we leave it at that. Sabby, can you show the picture of me and Rose so I can let people know what's going on? So Ro Khanna, not a fan of politicians, but Ro Khanna did reach out to M for All, invite us to come speak to him in DC. We went. I brought my medical bills from the past 2 years. And after he met with us over an hour, he reached out to Bernie, and they are now working on medical debt cancellation legislation. Because of our meeting. So, and we are going to be meeting with another congressional person later this month. So hold people accountable. That's all I'm going to say. Because when you go there and you're not nice, this is what happens. So anytime you feel defeated, just hold them accountable. Regardless, state, national, I don't give a shit. Hold them accountable. They work for us.
Right on.
Right.
Yep.
Right.
Hold them accountable.
One thing I do just want to add really quick, because I don't want people to get confused. The New York Health Act, New York State is not a ballot initiative state, but they were trying to do it through the legislature. So I wish there would have been more. I wish there would have been more focus and more highlight on that. I felt like that wasn't really covered much. But yeah, they were probably pretty close to that happening, but we see how things go. I want to thank both of you so much for coming on. I like both of you guys. I think you're both like great activists out there. All of us were involved for the March for Medicare for All. So I applaud your efforts and everything that you do. And hopefully, we move forward through this and we can get everybody healthcare in this country.
Thank you so much.
Absolutely. Thank you for doing this, Andre. Thanks for Sabby for having us.
Thank you.
Bye, guys.
So, yeah, I mean, do I feel like anything was learned? No, because I thought I made some really fucking good points. But looking at the comments and stuff, unfortunately, when it comes to the berets and whole Washington and such, they don't want to learn. They don't want to give any kind of credence. Like they have been attacking me left and right. And to me, all I spoke was truth. To me, I'm talking about your 401 or your 501c4 that was reneged. That's a fact. To me, I'm talking about, Washington State pulling dental care. To me, I'm talking about, the fact that you need federal waiver. Like, why are you mad at me? You don't have to like me. I don't give a flying fuck. But these should be things, if you're just going to be like, fuck Savage Joy, she's so stupid, she's a grifter, that's not a defense. If I'm wrong, tell me why I'm wrong. Tell me why. I wasn't told why during this entire interview. I was never told why I am wrong. I was told nothing but deflection and obfuscating, and nothing came of it. I mean, it felt good to say some shit because I've been asking them for a debate for over 3 months, or excuse me, a discussion for over 3 months. So that was good. But do I feel it was worth it? Honestly, not really. Not because the attacks I'm getting have been way worse than what came of this. I mean, the fact of the matter is, we are divided. The state by state Red Beret, whole Washington people will absolutely not stop attacking us. They will not stop punching down. They won't stop. So, yeah, I mean, did I expect maybe to kind of get some people to think? Yeah, but I mean, it doesn't look like that happened. Because looking through the comments, it's just about how I'm stupid and, stuff like that, and no valid argument. Like, I would love to be proven wrong. I fucking want healthcare for people so bad. Like, I want to be wrong. I really fucking do. I really do. I don't want a fucking I told you so. That's not what this is. This is looking out for people as a whole. And this is not. This is inequity right here. This is not healthcare justice. And they use the word citizens and things like that and residents. Washington State has over 1.1 million immigrants. Stop using that. Don't use those words unless you really aren't going to cover them. Either way, change it up because it's not cool. And I know a lot of them are going to be watching this, so please I really want to know, why does Andre keep saying 500,000 people would get it when there's 7.5 million people in your state? We're talking means testing, are we not? Are we talking, like, is that all you can afford to cover with your plan? Like, why? Like, where does this come from? You're still talking about leaving 7 million people out. Stop calling it Medicare for all. Keep calling it universal health care. They call Biden care universal health care. And he was nodding when I was telling him that's a shitlib way to put it. And then he kept saying it anyway. So, was it worth it? Not really. I mean, it felt good to say some stuff, but I don't really think anything came of it. I think it just proved it made me want to fight that much harder for national, because I just realized I went into this kind of hoping that I could learn something genuinely. But all it did was piss me off that I wasn't getting answers and I was getting gaslit and dealing with, sarcastic comments and such like that. So who knows? I mean, what's done is done. But, I hope, my national approved Medicare for all people think I held it down. I was a nervous wreck. I had 9 pages of notes. I did not get to touch on everything, unfortunately, but I hope you guys are proud of what I did do. It was not easy, but it is what it is at the end of the day. We just need to stand up and fight for what we believe in, as trite as it is. That's what we have to do. I mean, if this is, I'm gonna keep fucking fighting for national. Period. National improved Medicare for all, 100%. Nothing less. Nothing. Ever. And I see my boo in the background nodding his head. And I can see, I just see this head like, yep. So thank you guys so much for watching. I appreciate it so much. July 30th, please be with us in DC. You guys, this is so fucking important. We are going to be right in front of the Capitol. We're doing a march. We have speakers. It's really, last year we did 56 actions across the country. This year we're doing 1 because we want this shit to be fucking huge. We want them to hear us. We need your help. Also, we're going to be doing actions a few days before and after July 30th as well. Don't forget, Wednesday, we have our fundraiser. You can watch it here. Marianne Williamson, Jimmy Dore, JB, Elias, Rob Durden, my Bank Sisters, oh my God, my brain. But yeah, a lot of amazing people will be joining. And we really, really, really need your help. Even a few bucks, it doesn't matter. We're really hurting to get these accessibility things we need and so on. But thank you all so much for watching. Next week, me, Ricky, and Logan will be going to DC to meet with another congressperson. I'm not going to say who, but this is our second. So accountability, people, I'm telling you, accountability. Do it. They are not your friends. Tell them, don't ask, demand, period. So thank you guys so much. Again, much love. Love you guys so much. And thank you guys for joining tonight and having my back. Don't forget to smash the like and the subscribe.